Okay, everybody. Hello, this is Dr. Joseph Farrell, and this is February the 11th, 2011, 2/11/11. And we're here for our local news from the Nefarium for this weekend, and news and commentary, views and commentary. Um, First thing I've got a couple of announcements, and I'll get those out of the way, and then I want to comment on something. And that will be entirely extempore. I hope it makes a little sense. As you can see, I'm smoking my pipe today. Um, I ran out of cigarette tubes and tobacco yesterday, and I decided that was it. So I'm going to stick with the pipe and with that, with Camel Snus. Anyway, the first announcement is I did hear from the publisher of Genes, Giants, Monsters, and Men. And the editor still has the book, and it is being formatted and all the stuff that they do with that. And then he also said that the book should be out. We're aiming for around the middle of April. I know everybody has been patiently waiting for it. I have too, to be quite honest with you, because I finished the book just about a year ago today. So it's been a long wait for me, and the problem is, as you know, I plot out my books ahead of time. So I've got a book now I'm writing that refers to material in Genes, Giants, Monsters, and Men. So I'm hoping I don't finish this one before the other one comes out, because this one is being published by Adventures Unlimited, and they're very fast about getting a book actually in print and to the distributor. So anyway, that's what's going on with Genes, Giants, Monsters, and Men. The member site on the website is still taking time, and I appreciate everybody's patience with that. Daniel and I are still working on it. We have a lot of bugs to work out. I have a lot of work to do to build value into it. I don't want to open up a site and have nothing there and people paying for it. Um, so I want everybody to just kind of remain patient, as you all have been. And again, I want to thank everybody for the donations. This has been a particularly tough year, and that's one reason I'm doing this website, is to try and diversify my income stream. But it's been a tough year, and I'm sure it's been a tough year for everybody, so I wanted everyone to know that I really truly do appreciate the donations. Particularly, the book I'm writing now has literally required a lot of research that even using interlibrary loan I wouldn't be able to get. It's of a rather specialist nature. So anyway, those are the two announcements. So let's get on to the views from the Nefarium. And I have here an article that was actually linked to me by someone on my website in a comment. And he said, hey, take a look at this. This is all about the Egyptian museum lootings. And I looked at the link, and I thought, well, gee. So I click on the link, and the link is www.msnbc.msn.com/id/4151186/ns/technology _and _science-science/. Okay? And I'll see if I can put up this link as a link on this vid when it's linked to my Facebook page. But anyway, it's about the Egyptian museum looting, and the headline of this particular story from msnbc.com is Soldiers and Scientists Safeguard Egypt's Sullied Relics. Pyramids reopen for tourists, but Cairo Museum is still closed and under guard. Well, I got to reading this article. Pardon me. I'm having a bit of a sinus today. But I start reading this article. And about, I'd say halfway through it, it mentions Dr. Zahi Hawass, who, of course, is Egypt's antiquities czar, all right? So if you can imagine the man with the crown on protecting all these antiquities, it would be Zahi Hawass. And it has a little caption. Let me see if I can get that up there, about right where my thumb is. It has a little caption in the middle of the article. It says, "Looters sought gold and red mercury." All right? And I'm reading now from the article. It says, quote, Hawass said the looters were looking for gold and a fictitious substance called red mercury that, according to local lore, can be found in the throats of ancient mummies. Some people think it has magical powers and can be used to summon spirits. Quote, this is Dr. Hawass now. They live thinking about it. They could kill each other to get it, unquote, Hawass said. Quote, when I enter any place in Egypt, people ask me all the time about this, unquote. Now, the first thing I have to tell you that really caught my attention about this is here we are in the midst of a major, what can almost be said, an international crisis, certainly a crisis in Egypt. But in the midst of all of this, we have Hawass claiming that what's uppermost on Egyptians' minds, at least the ones he thinks were connected with the museum looting, is this quote-unquote fictitious subject or substance called red mercury, and that they're asking him all the time about it. And that really arrested me because I thought, first of all, why in the middle of this crisis do we even have a story about red mercury? For those of you who don't know, I cover the subject of red mercury almost all the way throughout my book called The Philosopher's Stone, but in particular in connection with work that was being done in the Soviet Union. And here's the story. Red mercury is supposedly a very heavy, dense liquid that is either cherry red or kind of a purplish maroon color. And it was supposedly a substance developed in the Soviet Union during the 1970s that would allow you to detonate a hydrogen bomb without having to detonate an atomic bomb to set off the hydrogen bomb. And this is very crucial because the legend about the substance was then that, of course, this made the tremendous explosive power of a hydrogen bomb, which of course is 3 orders of magnitude above the explosive power of any atomic bomb. This made the explosive power of the hydrogen bomb accessible and cheap and usable without all the radioactivity that results from the explosion of an atomic bomb. Now that's an important point because of course there is radioactivity that's given off during thermonuclear fusion, but it's of a very different nature and it's not long-lived in the same sense that the radiation from atomic bombs is. But anyway, this substance, if it existed, allowed the Soviet Union basically to have access to a thermonuclear arsenal without having to dirty it up, so to speak, with atomic bombs. In other words, the substance made nuclear wars fightable. That's the key. Now, the substance began to be talked about in the 1990s as it was apparently used in part by Soviet and Western intelligence to catch international terrorists trying to buy nuclear technology, weapons technology, on the black market. And there are many analysts that say that red mercury was simply an invention of these intelligence agencies to do precisely this, to go out and catch international terrorists. Now, I have my doubts about that story because, as I pointed out in The Philosopher's Stone, DuPont in 1967 took out a patent for a substance called mercury antimony oxide, and it was in DuPont's registry, it was listed as an explosive. And an antimony oxide would make this liquid appear to be red. It would be reddish or maroon in color. So in other words, there's a bit of truth at the core of this story somewhere. We don't know where. And the other bit of truth is if you press the idea of this red, heavy, very dense liquid metal back, you're going to discover that the serum 525 in the Nazi bell was also described as being very heavy, a kind of maroon purple color, and this was the serum that they spun up in the bell. And in my research, as you recall, I mentioned that this serum 525 was most likely composed either of mercury and thorium oxide, and the thorium component being specifically thorium 229 isomer, or mercury and beryllium oxide. So in other words, there's this core of truth to the red mercury story that makes the whole thing that is reported in this article very suspicious. So I'll be back with part 2 of my comments and views from the Nefarium on this very interesting bit of news.